What the f*** is sand? When I first seen the trailers for this game, I was fully expecting an open world survival type game, kind of along the lines of Last Oasis meets Rust. But what you really get is a faster paced extraction type game mode that plays much more similar to Sea of Thieves. But rather than the ships gracefully gliding across calming peaceful waters, replace them with loud industrial Goliaths stomping their way across a savage desert, clashing and fighting with other crews for the scraps and resources that still litter the wasteland. The demo that was currently running for Steam Next Fest comes off of the back of a closed playtest that the devs decided was decent enough to open up to everyone. What they are currently testing is just the core PvP elements of the game, and it's just the base of what's to come into the future. When you first log on, you're presented with 3 base tramplers to take out on your first expedition. You pick one, load up with supplies and ammo, and then you get dropped into an ongoing server in the middle of the desert by a huge spaceship. Get your cannons loaded up, start scanning the horizons for players. Rather than looking for ship sails across the water, you can see players from their engines shooting plumes of smoke into the air. The PvP is what makes it really feel like Sea of Thieves. You don't always need to be at the controls to keep the trampler moving, so you can toggle it at a certain speed and turn rate that you want, and then you can hop onto the cannons and guns and fire at enemies, or do repairs, or you can even ram into them and then jump aboard and board other people's tramplers. I actually don't know what happens if you get stranded on the desert, if there's a system to get back on board like the mermaids in SOT. All I know is that if you're solo and you fall off, the engines switch off and your trampler comes to a stop. You can probably just force respawn, but unlike in Sea of Thieves, you will lose your gear that you had on you, and you consume a food resource to respawn, making respawns limited to how much food you bring. The fights feel really good though. It's a nice balance between calculated movements at range, trying to play a strategy in a cat and mouse game with the other walker, and then all out chaos when you get close, you start ramming into each other and boarding one another. It's really fun. One really cool feature is the fact that you can completely steal and take control of other people's tramplers. If you manage to get access to the enemy's steering controls, you can hold F on them for like 10 or so seconds, and it will give you full authority of the vehicle. All the doors become locked to the enemy, and you steal the ability to respawn. Me and Merv had a really interesting situation where we ended up losing a 3 trampler free-for-all, but I managed to escape and hide as our trampler exploded. Now I had nowhere to respawn, and I lost my teammate. He was stuck spectating at this point. While the winners of the fight were looting our walker, I snuck onto the other destroyed vehicle and got myself a pistol and some ammunition from the wreckage. I was able to then sneak aboard, the only functional trampler at this point, and kill both of the players on board. Then stealing their trampler, I had full access and could kill them once more to completely eliminate them from the game. It was so cool going from a total losing position to then claw back and become the winner from it all. It felt like something special, and it really gave me the feeling that this game has a fantastic base to build from. Like I said, the game mode is more extraction style game than a fully open world. Although from what I've seen, there are no server timers limited how long you can stay on the map, so there's quite a lot of freedom to do what you want, and for the devs to do whatever they want with the game mode. To get out, you've got to go to one of the marked spots on the map, you climb up to the top of a tower, and then radio in for the same ship that dropped you off to swing by and pick up your ship, along with dropping a rope for you to escape. But that's not everything that caught my attention to this game. For now at least, you don't get to keep the stolen tramplers that you extract from the map, you only get to keep their resources. And because we had lost the trampler that we took in, I had an empty slot. So I decided to delve into the trampler building system that we had access to. You can literally build your own trampler from scratch, choosing from different bases and components, placing turrets and engines exactly where you want, you can create the perfect trampler for your playstyle or to accommodate a solo player or a full squad. The game seriously came alive with this feature for me. If you want more powerful autocannons, you got to go out there and find the components to build them. Want to build some huge monster ship? Well, you got to make sure you have enough engines to move it, and never mind the fuel cells to then keep it going. I had so much fun trying to build a nice solo build trampler. I spent some resources that I'd found earlier to have my controls component inside of a compartment rather than on top. I learned from my previous expeditions that you do not want people having easy access to them. Take it out for a spin, get a feel for what you like and don't like from the build, and keep improving and evolving it. It's a really fun gameplay loop, and you get a much better feel for your ship feeling like your own, in comparison to like the stock ships that you get in Sea of Thieves, for example. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the devs do between now and an early access release, adding further depth to the building, better performance and quality of life features, because it did run a little bit rough. We're likely to see a much more bigger PvE element to the game as well, to keep you busy between fights. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much, Random Stranger on the internet, for giving me your time to watch this video. If you have made it this far and enjoyed, be sure to let me know in the comments. As of right now, there isn't any release dates for Sand, so I have no idea when we'll next get to play it. But you can be sure to catch me there when it does. And maybe someday, we'll stumble upon one another in the desert. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.